Hi, welcome to Regenerative Revolution. I'm Jackie Sersel, and I'm here with David Braden and Christine Webster, and we are here to talk about the Cook and the Gardener partnership. So this is a really cool project in Denver, Colorado. They are looking for a way to bring together gardeners and homeowners to transform lawns into regenerative ecosystems that are soaking up carbon and increasing biodiversity, making healthy landscapes for wildlife and us. So we've been talking about this for a while now. We've got a basic business model formed. We're now in this startup phase. So I've been facilitating meetings with the startup team here. We have one more member who couldn't make it today, Hank. But we've been, just taking the first steps to get this going so we can have a proof of concept. As we were just saying off camera, like ultimately the point here working with me is to get to a point where we can actually incorporate this as a cooperative. I would really like to be involved in that part of the process of like writing the bylaws and creating a cooperative to, bring these people together to really make it a career for some people. But we really need a proof of concept first. We need to have enough members to show that this is really something that people want, I feel, before we put the investment into actually incorporating, because that's going to be a significant investment. It'd be also easier to do some fundraising once we have some more people involved. I mean, those kind of go hand in hand. But we'll talk more about that here in a minute. Let's dive into this meeting. Today we're doing a tactical meeting, so we're talking about projects and next steps. So the first step of that, and we're using the system Holocracy, which I have a fair bit of experience in. And I'm just, volunteering to facilitate this. I'm not selling my services as a facilitator. We're trying to use Holocracy as best we can. So in a holocratic tactical meeting, we start with a check-in. So let's see how everyone's doing, just to become present and bring ourselves into the virtual space. Let's start with Christine this time. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. Survived the snowstorm, thankfully. The blizzard here we just got in Denver, I think over 2 feet in some areas overnight. But yeah, doing really great. Creating some space in my schedule recently to be able to help with the Living Systems Institute website coming up. So we'll probably talk a little bit more about that later.
Awesome. Thank you. And David, how are you?
I am weary because of the 2 feet of snow that Christine talked about. And we needed to shovel at least enough to be able to get my granddaughter home for school tomorrow. So we did accomplish that, and the pot roast is in the oven, so I'm all set now.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Awesome. Yeah, I'm in Oklahoma, so it was actually really warm today. I had the doors open. I watered my plants with my Korean natural farming inputs. Looking forward to things coming up in the garden. We planted some carrots a couple weeks ago outside, so yay, garden. Got a few things started indoors too. So I'm excited about that. Okay. I also forgot to mention audience. Hello, audience, if you're there. We are live streaming to YouTube right now. Please feel free to check in yourselves in the chat room here and, just jump in at any time with comments or questions. I'm watching that chat room, so we'll bring you into the conversation. We're looking for more people to get involved in this, whether that's just giving us feedback and input or actually volunteering to help. We are open for you to get involved. All right, so next step, looking at the meeting notes underneath us, we've got a couple of checklist items. We need to check in with David here to see, did you check in with the gardeners at the end of the month?
I did not. I checked with Hank back in the 1st of March, and he was unaware of any gardener who had done enough work to justify receiving a payment. Mm-hmm. So I've actually not even recorded the payments, which we had two homeowners that paid in February. Mm-hmm. So we're sitting around with maybe about $500 right now that gardeners could earn if the weather cooperated and if we could match their schedules with the homeowners.
Sure. Yeah. So basically, it was just too snowy, not good enough weather to do work last month. And so you kind of owe those those homeowners a few hours of work whenever the weather clears up.
Yeah, and we did get 2 new homeowners requesting somebody to come by, and I haven't gotten any response from gardeners.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's what I was saying. I hadn't heard from Hank. I included him on the emails and hadn't heard from him whether he was interested or the other one was Stacy Compost. And then we talked about Tracy also, that maybe she would be interested. But the one is here in my neighborhood, just up the street from me. And then the other one is, of course, Hampton and, well, East Denver, Aurora.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, it still comes down to, it would be best if we had gardeners who made a commitment and then found their own clients in their own neighborhood, which is how our first gardeners, Xana Cece, that's the way she did it. And we haven't yet found a gardener ready to make that commitment yet. I'm not sure how so that's the action item.
Okay.
I'm rambling now.
We'll come back and talk about that more. So the next item is metrics. So the actual number of gardeners that you have active or would be active if the weather was cooperating, how many do you have on hand?
2 that we know of for sure.
Okay.
And then the homeowners just went up 2. But we don't have gardeners to.
Okay.
I mean, we're not receiving money because we haven't had gardeners to make a commitment to them.
Okay. So is that 5 homeowners now?
I think we could have 5 homeowners paying if we had gardeners to provide services for them.
Sure. Okay. Good to know. Okay. So next is project updates. So who has a project update?
I can speak to the Living Systems Institute website, which I feel like for the audience, I should always clarify each episode that is the nonprofit organization that is currently the fostering Cook and Gardener project. So for the larger organization, David, a few weeks ago, asked me to go ahead and focus on another LSI for short project called Be Safe Neighborhoods, which is essentially an anti-pesticide campaign, very grassroots. I've taken that over this last year and really going to print soon this week with a couple canvassing materials that we're providing to people who participate. So given that, I've been focusing a lot of my efforts on that project, but once we wrap that up this week, I'll be able to pivot starting next week back to Living Systems Institute's website. And we're rebuilding content, the design, the functionality of it and everything. So it's a big project, but we'll be able to get the ball rolling on it again next week.
Okay, so that's kind of on hold. So the website's kind of on hold as you work on.
Yes, it is on hold.
As you work on the Be Safe Neighborhoods, you said that you were making some what again?
So we're producing, designing and printing some canvassing materials to sort of promote the program in neighborhoods for people to purchase.
Okay.
Maybe a little too much information on that, but that's what has slowed down the progress of LSI's website.
Yeah, I think it's important to know where these other projects are because they're connected. Yeah. Canvassing has 2 S's apparently. Okay, great. All right. David, do you have any updates?
Updates.
I mean, you already said kind of that other stuff. I could write that down. So 2 new homeowners interested. Need gardeners to respond. Weather was bad last month. So there were 3 homeowners that paid last month. Is that right?
No, we're down to 2 actually set of payments.
Okay. So you owe 2 homeowners labor.
Again.
Okay. When the weather improves. Okay. So other than that.
Lee Recca, who is on the board of directors for the Denver Permaculture Guild, came out and did a video of me doing some explaining the deep mulch gardening technique we use. And that's for a presentation we're going to do March 20th. I just saw the email that video is available, but I haven't had a chance to click on it and see what it's like.
Okay.
He said it turned out pretty good. So on March 20th, we're going to be a part of a Zoom event for the Denver Permaculture Guild with 2 other presenters about earth care and people care and fair share, the permacultural ethics.
Cool.
And I think we're the earth care part.
Awesome. And that's on Zoom. Do you have a link to where that's going to be?
I do have a link, and you can find that either on the Denver Permaculture Guild or on the meetup group, which you can find the meetup group through the LSI website.
Okay. LSI meetup group. Okay.
David, I'd love to see the video. Would you mind sharing that out with me, Jackie, and Hank, and the board, perhaps?
Sure. Let me see what Lee sent. All it said was link for the video or something like that. So I don't know exactly what I've got, but I'll take a look. And if it's the video itself, I'll send it around.
Awesome.
And will you be representing Living Systems Institute at the event? Or just kind of presenting as yourself?
No, my bio includes the fact that I run the Living Systems Institute, and I would, and of course the end result is I want to make a big plug for the Cook and the Gardener program.
Perfect.
But, this is a different way to do landscaping. So easy, even an old guy on oxygen can do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think there would be some people in the Denver Permaculture Guild who would want to get involved, and maybe they've just been thinking about it so far. Maybe you just have to keep poking them.
David, is there anything that would help you with your presentation? Do you have like a PowerPoint or some sort of any visual kind of presentation?
Just the video that Lee took, and I think that's going to be about 20 minutes, and then the rest of it is going to be question and answer.
Okay.
And hopefully we'll have a lot of people with a lot of questions, because that's my strong suit, as opposed to doing a presentation, either winging it or having a prepared statement. So.
Am I allowed to riff off of this?
Let's make it an agenda item if you have more questions.
I do.
So okay, I'll just put DPG presentation, and we'll just talk about that more as an agenda item. Okay. So yeah, for me, I did make a landing page on my website for the Cook and the Gardener partnership. And I prettied up the Regenerative Revolution page and made those two match with the theme of the website. So it looks good. But I don't have the crowdfunding software set up yet because that does cost money, and I'm currently rebanking. I'm switching banks, so I don't even know how much money I have. It's all kind of in transit. But as soon as I get all that figured out, then I will, jump on finishing setting that up and making a crowdfunding campaign specifically to raise funds for the incorporation fees. And I did also look that up. So to incorporate a cooperative in Colorado is only $50. And then, as I've said, I've talked to Jason Weiner before. He's the co-op specialist lawyer. He has a few other lawyers working with him right there in Denver, and they're really the only lawyers in Colorado who specialize in that. So I'd really recommend working with them. And a lot of what he does is just on an hourly basis. So it's kind of hard to say exactly how much it would cost. I think it really depends on how prepared we are when we come in. If we already know exactly what we want and have a draft of the bylaws ready to go, then all he has to do is read through it. Hopefully that would only cost a couple $1,000s. But if he has to act as a business consultant and do all that I've already been doing, asking a bunch of questions and making it all from scratch, then he's already quoted me around $10,000 is what he normally charges to do the business consulting and the incorporation part. So, I mean, it's just kind of really anywhere between like probably $3,000 to $10,000, depending on how much work he actually has to do. But we can talk to him. I think we should just kind of know what we're asking for before we use up his time giving us a quote.
Right, and we want to raise enough to pay for your time as well.
Yeah. And as I said, like if I can get this crowdfunding campaign set up, we can use that to pay me, and I'm also happy to be paid in cryptocurrency if that's what we can raise through it. Yeah, that'll be fun. So yeah, let me write out what I just said in shorthand here. Set up landing page for Cook and Gardener. Researched incorporation fees. I did poke around on his website again. It just doesn't have any numbers. He just says he has reasonable fees, and usually it's on an hourly basis. So just need to get a quote from him. But yeah, I think we should kind of be ready and know what we're asking for before we do that. Okay, so agenda. So there's the DPG presentation, but before we dive into that, is there anything else we should add to the agenda? What else do we have to talk about?
I would love to also talk about gardener outreach, because it's disappointing to hear we've got so many gardeners who have signed up for notifications, and yet David's struggling to find someone. So I'd love to talk about that, try to remedy it if we can.
Yeah, I think what I have to talk about is along those lines too, just kind of marketing in general. I'd like to discuss that more.
Yeah, and that's my ongoing frustration is to move forward, we need people feeling empowered to take matters into their own hands. Our goal is to heal the world, but we need people to make the commitment to see that they're going to be able to provide for themselves while they're healing the world. And that's a tough sell, and we're not marketing it correctly if that's what the problem is.
Or at all, or enough. Yeah. I almost wonder, do you guys want to start there? Can we start with that agenda item?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, these two things are kind of related, and that is maybe the starting point. So, okay. Go ahead. What do you got?
Oh gosh, I had something and then I lost my train of thought. We were just talking about, yeah. Oh, I was going to say, David, I do believe this is just intuition speaking, but I do believe it takes one, and I know Hank's doing all that he can right now, but having that one all-star gardener who can really put themselves into this to pave the way, and rally other gardeners in the area too. A go-getter, if you will, who's enthusiastic about joining the program from the very beginning. So finding that very special person, obviously we don't want to put all of our eggs in that one basket, but I really think that would be such a great catapult into some momentum on it. That said, you have a newsletter, a list of subscribers who are gardeners that you have reached out to with these two new client opportunities. The other two are managed by Hank, correct?
Yeah, the one is Stacy Campos, and Hank has two, I think he's working with.
Okay. And so far, since these two opportunities have come up, you have sent out basically an an email communication to that whole list, just saying, if you're interested, we have this, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I think I did.
Yeah.
I'm having trouble remembering what I did now.
I wonder if this is a little labor intensive, but I think some direct communication would be really great. Even if we call some of these people, if we have phone numbers, I wonder what kind of, I guess, tiered list of contacts you have, like some of the people who have been more responsive than others that might be more worthwhile to reach out to say, we have this opportunity, we need a gardener ASAP, will you join us? What do you think?
Maybe. With the existing email list, there was the one lady that was in Oregon, and she's supposed to be coming back into town, and I haven't heard, and I'm not sure I could remember her name. Zana may be coming back. She's in Africa right now. Her husband is from Ghana, and they're back visiting his relatives for another 6 weeks, is what she said. And she had to give up the gardening part because of her young daughter was not going to school, so that may resolve itself before next fall.
Okay.
Which is when she said.
I can't help but think of all of the people, all the applications we received in November and December. Jackie, before we started, I think it was a little bit before we started working with you, we did run some advertisements to kind of get the ball rolling for homeowners and gardeners. And we got quite a few gardeners who applied to join this project. So David, I wonder if I assume that you took their email addresses and added them to the newsletter, the gardeners newsletter?
Yes, I did.
Okay. There's always, oh, I'm sorry, what was that?
I haven't heard from any of those. Well, maybe that's wrong. Maybe I have had some responses from some of the people we found on Facebook ads.
Yeah.
But not enough to actually come and talk to me about or see what we're doing.
Okay. And when we say newsletter, you're sending out an email personally from your own personal email address to all recipients on BCC, correct? Not through MailChimp.
That's correct. So there's a gardener list and a homeowner list. The gardener list is 26 people, I think. The homeowner list is maybe 8 or 10. I can't remember.
Okay. I just feel like there are definitely, even if it's just 10 people who applied late last year who were genuinely interested, sent along their resumes, who we could maybe reach out to individually to say, we have this opportunity, you were a great candidate. Now that we have the clientele available, would you like to start with one or both of these clients?
Yeah, and we could give that a try. I'm not sure exactly who I would start with. I guess you have to do an individual email to a select group out of the email list. Is that what you're proposing?
Yeah, or even if we send a BCC email directly to the latest round of candidates who applied, because those are the people who were interested not that long ago. And so I think that should be where we focus first, reaching out, saying there is paying work available, ongoing clients. I think we should start there, and the first person to respond is the first person to get the worm, I guess. The bird gets the worm. Mm-hmm. I think that would be one great, small but great effort. And if all else fails, we run more advertisements on Nextdoor and Facebook and Craigslist. It would be great to start there, but I just know that we had interest back in November. And so to pay to run some more ads and recruit when we had some interest seems, maybe
I would suggest
right now, we'll see.
If they're relying on us to find their homeowners for them, I think we're not going to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. So if we took another look at the materials that they could use, so they have the letter to the homeowners, they have the Regenerative Landscaping pages on our website. which I guess they don't display very well if you look at them on a mobile device, which we can fix when we get our website up. So, you know, one thing is related to another. But if we gave them, so they have that, then, you know, look at what we're going to recommend to them when they reach out to people in their neighborhood. This is the materials you're going to use. This is, you're looking for some comment in nextdoor.com that's related to gardening, and then you're going to say, well, we can help you with this. These are the materials you'd like to look at if it's going to be a match, and work out the onboarding for people when they do have interest, right? Mm-hmm. So I think we have to put some work into that, that part of it. So we're missing something, and that may be the part we're missing.
Well, I think what you're missing is what she said, the direct communication, because if somebody filled out an application and said that they're interested, I mean, what have you done to follow up with them? Have you actually called them on the phone and said, we would love to work with you, come to my house, here's some materials? You know, like, you need to follow up with them, like, directly.
I didn't follow up. I didn't follow up with a phone call. I followed up with an email or whatever the message.
Right, but a group email is very different from a personal email.
But when they applied, each of the ones that applied, I added them. I sent them an individual email saying that we'd love to have you come to our site and interview. And then I added them to the gardener email list. So they've received both of those.
Okay, so wait, you invited them to come and interview? Did they do that?
No, we didn't get any of them to do that.
Do you know if they received the email? Have you gotten any response?
Maybe, and if I did, then there wasn't any response to my reply to them.
Okay. Well, I mean, it'd be good to know that, because if you're just sending stuff from your personal email address, unless you have an app in your Gmail that's telling you if people open it, you have no idea if they're actually getting those emails. It only takes a couple people to mark your emails as spam, and then no one gets it.
That's true. And MailChimp might, moving forward, be a better, because you have that available to you, and that list should be updated in their last I knew. So communicating through that moving forward might be a good way to keep, to make that announcement, the broader announcement that we have clients available. We're looking for gardeners. This is a little bit grassroots, what I'm about to suggest, but David, I would be happy to help you by reaching out to those candidates, those resumes you received directly, reaching out to them with my bubbly voice and saying, hi, I'm Christine Webster with the Living Systems Institute, and I'd like to talk to you about Cook and Gardener Project. I'd be glad to be your call center. Again, I'm just kind of shooting from the hip a little bit here, but just to generate a little bit of interest or weed through the people who might not be interested, but following up, if you'd like me to, I could do that. We could start there. And then if it seems like there's just no interest from our latest pool of interested candidates, then we start to market it back again on Greater Denver Urban Gardens, or Homesteaders, Nextdoor. I'm actually a part of a group on Nextdoor that's fantastic, all about regenerative gardening. That would be a great target for that. And then, on the organization's Facebook, and we could do Craigslist again too. I hear you though. The key piece of communication when recruiting gardeners, we have to say it up front. We will not be supplying you with clients all the time. This is you have 2 clients here that they can be yours, and that can be kind of your launch pad to getting more, but that's entirely up to you. You can't rely on us to provide that to you. So
we lost your video.
Lost your audio.
Oh.
Okay, I can hear you now. It just cut out.
Okay. Sorry about that. Bad internet. But I was saying, maybe we strengthen that communication up front, that we have 2 clients available now, and they can be yours, new gardener, as your launch pad to beginning your own cook and gardener business. I don't know if that's what they would call it, but moving forward, you can't rely on us to provide you clientele. It's just available now, and it's a great rolling start into it for those who want to be professional gardeners. So
Sure.
I've already expressed to you, I would love to be a gardener. I don't have the experience necessarily. I'd have to learn a lot from you, but you know the transition I've been in. I wish I could grab these 2 clients myself.
Well, and so that's the other issue, is people don't think that they're competent to do it. And so that's the other issue is for onboarding, to feel competent both to get out and get clients and then to provide the service. And to me, of course, it's really simple, because all we're trying to do is take the materials generated on site and put them in a situation where Mother Nature can make use of them. And so maybe that's, we talked about that maybe down the road. Once we have a core of gardeners, we would have make everybody intern for 3 months or something before they go out and get their clients of their own. And so I've been trying to offer that, and that's the part where I'm not getting a lot of potential gardeners saying, yes, I want to come and learn. But that's why I drafted the webpage on regenerative landscaping. It's just to explain it in a question and answer format that, this is all that we're talking about, is to cycle that carbon that's available instead of sending it to landfill and then have to buy a bunch of stuff to make your garden fertile. So, and then, yes, but what plants? It's to somebody who hasn't done a lot of gardening, every plant looks exactly the same. So that's why we were talking about last time that, if we had if we started maybe with, in addition to gardeners finding their own clients and doing the $100 a month, if we were offering a pollinator garden to the Be Safe neighborhoods, those interested in Be Safe neighborhoods, then we could say this is a deep mulch garden. These are the plants we're going to put into it for the pollinators, and then that's an onboarding way that we can have gardeners help us build those. So
I think that's a really good place to start, because I think for a lot of people, they love to do it, but there's too much uncertainty here. There's way too much uncertainty. It's like, am I going to be able to get clients? And I have, like, it seems simple, just throw all your carbon, compost kind of material into a bed and plant in it. But I think a lot of people who aren't like us, we obviously are very adventurous, type A people who just do things. Most people don't. They don't do things. They don't even cook their own dinner. I think so many people are terrified to even try to cook their own dinner. They don't do it. So if you can't even cook your own dinner, how are you going to plant a garden? They need step-by-step instructions. They need to be shown exactly what to do. So if you had just a really simple pollinator garden to start with, that, they know what they're going to plant in it. They know what size it's going to be. They know they're going to use branches for the edges, whatever. Just show them exactly what it looks like, exactly what they need to do. Make that the project to start with for their first clients, their first month or two that they're going to be working. Give it to them. And then maybe some of them will do that and say, oh, this is not for me, and they'll walk away. But the ones who are interested, at least that's getting their toe in the water. They're going to keep going. They're going to be, okay, what's next? And then you can show them something else to do. But just kind of making this vague, you're going to go into somebody's yard and just start throwing stuff around, you figure it out. No, 99.999% of people are not going to do that.
But they have all the examples that we've done here at LSI. Just do it like one of those.
But people go to restaurants all the time, yet how many people won't cook their own meals? You have plenty of examples, but if you've never done it before, most people are terrified of making mistakes.
Well, and that's why that's a great point, Jackie. I'm really enjoying that feedback. That's great feedback. Many of the candidates we received resumes for last year are experienced gardeners, have that experience and are very interested in sustainability and regenerative landscaping. And so I feel like they were right here, and time passes, and it sounds like some of them got away. But I think first things first, we should follow up with them, David, and I'm happy to volunteer to do that this week directly. So maybe we can regroup and I can get those exact email addresses from you, because I was just sending them your way and they were coming through to you from Facebook directly. So maybe we regroup, get those email, or you could just send me an email with all of the email addresses of those people, first and last name, and I'd be happy to, or phone number actually, if they're on the resumes. Let's do that, direct calls.
Well, so all the resumes we have, I think, were through Facebook, and you have access to that page, right?
Yeah, I can look back in there. That might be easier.
I wasn't looking for phone numbers, so I'm not sure that we got those, but if we have phone numbers, that's where they will be.
But yeah, maybe trying to email them either through MailChimp or just a different email address, just to make sure it's not that they're not receiving them. And you can ask them that in the email. Hey, did you get this previously from David? Have you been getting that? I think we should check that, because it's possible that Google or somebody is spam blocking them. So I think we should rule that out. And also I was thinking, to not lose people, you should have something for them to do right away. So even if they can't take on these clients right away, maybe hook them up with Hank to go shadow him the next time he goes out to work.
Yes, absolutely. I 100% agree. And I also think that anyone you do want to involve in your organization, you'll want them to go through X number of hours of training to make sure that they really are aligned with your proof of concept, David, that you already have. I recently interviewed for a job where it was a group interview, and I thought this was interesting. I don't know if anyone here has been through that process, but and it was actually in the field that we're talking about too. But it was a group interview of all these interested candidates, and it was just more of like a informative interview, kind of like a seminar actually. And then for the people who wanted to proceed with the job description, to continue through a second interview. And that was all through Zoom. And I think that could also, step one, reach out directly to candidates that we most recently received. Step two, set up a preliminary informational interview with the group. Step three, proceed with the people who are still interested, and then set up training for them, which we kind of did, David, back last year, but we have Jackie now, and I think she can maybe, guide us through that a little bit once we have real interest. And then step four, hopefully get them officially enrolled with clients. It'd be great. I know they're out there.
Well, you would think there is somebody out there. There's a lot of concern for the future, and not a whole lot of proposals on how we're going to address that, other than in corporate liability or corporate limited liability. How is that going to pull carbon from the atmosphere? I don't know.
Interesting. Okay, let me just go back through these steps you just mentioned, because I want to make sure that I'm clear on the details. So reaching out, so you were talking about just giving them a phone call or a personal email, asking them directly, are you still interested in this? Would you like to move forward? Because we have a couple homeowners available right now. And then you're saying that the action step you want to do from that is to actually set up an interview with them. Would that be with you and Hank, or like how would that work?
I think I would be happy to facilitate that first step of communication and then set up a group interview with the interested candidates with Hank and David. What do you guys think of that?
And I'd be obviously willing to do that. I think they need to, so on the Zoom, maybe we can present the gardening or the regenerative landscaping Facebook information, right? And then say those who want to pursue this, let's arrange a time for take a tour of LSI.
Yep.
Or this is, I've got a series of gardens I could be building, although I don't need to have any more gardens to take care of, but we can certainly build more because I've got the materials.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the weather's going to cooperate better as we get, well, between now and June, we don't really know how well the weather's going to be. Because it could be snowy any day.
Yeah.
Or nice and warm.
To me, that seems like a good process to start with. I have to put emphasis on the speed of it. It's got to happen quickly because you have 2 interested clients right now, and we don't want to leave them hanging. So if we can act on this very quickly, I can reach out to people this week. I can reach out to them in the next couple of days, gather that information for you and say, here, David, these are the email addresses, set up a Zoom group interview, and I can help you with that too if you need a group interview where you and Hank can really speak to the mission, what you need. And then, yeah, I love the idea of them coming, people who want to proceed to the next phase of going on site, seeing proof of concept, meeting you. And then from there, you can say, I have 2 clients right now who in these locations, they're ready to pay you $100 a month a piece. That's $200 a month, who is available to start right now and move forward from there.
Yeah. Or even just getting them hooked up with Hank to just go out and work with him, and I think that would be even faster. And I know the weather's not good right now, but if he is going to be able to go out sometime in the next few weeks, he could have 1 or 2 people along with him. And maybe we're not committing to give them clients yet, but just get them out there. And maybe not everybody's going to be available to meet at the same time, but you can hook them up with Hank and they can figure it out.
That's a great idea.
Because I think a roadblock is often like trying to get everybody together at the same time. Like is it necessary? Is it necessary to have a group thing, or can you just get people into this internship kind of situation?
Well, maybe we could do down the road, once we do advertising, we could do a regular weekly or bi-weekly Zoom event that anybody's welcome to join.
Yeah, I think that's fine. That's a good idea. It's just I've been in this situation with a couple of other people, and I know I've done it too. So sometimes I get triggered because it's like, I've made this mistake. Don't make this mistake. Oh, come, I'm making this new thing. Everybody come show up to this event. We're going to brainstorm how to do this. And I show up to the event and I give a lot of input on how I think things should go. And then they're just like, oh yeah, if you want to be involved, get on this email list. But it's never clear exactly how they want me to get involved. It's never clear what role I'm going to fill or how I can really help. It's just kind of, now I'm on an email list and it's just more and more of this, this is a great idea. Isn't it great? And there's not those action steps or a personal invitation to say, Jackie, we want you to be the blah, blah, blah.
Right. Yep. I almost wonder too, because people innately like structure and setting up, David, you mentioned the word onboarding. So even setting up some very crude onboarding materials especially there should be, eventually, I know we're working towards it, this is a startup, but working towards these 2 clients you have right now, waiting for gardeners. In the meantime, while we're trying to get gardeners, setting up a calendar of, we've already arranged with the client that you would arrange weather permitting on this week, or I don't know if that's too rigid, but just setting up something for people to look forward to and know what this will actually require of them. Expectations from that particular client. What are they expecting? What are they wanting? So that there's a little more information, because currently it is a lot of figure it out. But we could probably be providing a little more information early on. Do you disagree, Jackie?
No, I think that's great. I think having people actually step in and feel like they're a part of it, having some form you fill out, or, having a contract, that's an important step to make people feel like they're actually doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, we could do a contract and make them give it a W-9, things like that.
Yeah, kind of onboarding. I like it.
Well, I will take as an action item for myself to work with David to pull together our latest round of candidates and then reach out to them pronto, directly. I might send an email first and then a phone call. I don't know, but either way, I just want to get top of mind with these people because spring is about to spring-a-ling. And then from there, I do want to mention Be Safe really is very connected to this. These two projects are sisters for sure, because as I'm getting closer to going to print with some of these materials, I'm absorbing this project from Living Systems Institute. I'm redesigning some of the materials, and I'm taking over the email list of coordinators that we currently have, which, David, by the way, I finished it this weekend. I've got everyone in MailChimp, and I'm gearing up to send out a sparkly brand new email introducing the people's bees to all of these Be Safe coordinators who have been on this list for maybe a long time, and kind of explain how Be Safe neighborhoods will work moving forward. And oh, by the way, Living Systems Institute, which you all know, is seeking gardeners for paid work for this season, and give them something actionable to do if they're interested in being a gardener and or a homeowner who wants to enhance their property, because the target is already there. They're already participating in no pesticide use. So
yeah. Okay, so you're saying that, is this a separate action item then, that you're going to add something about it to the website?
To the email newsletter that I have set up specifically for Be Safe, and I will announce the project in that. So 2 items for me: 1, reaching out to gardeners, and then 2, announcing this project to a separate audience through Be Safe Neighborhoods.
Be Safe Neighborhoods.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've sent the LSI mailing list, newsletter list, which is also through MailChimp. And there's 448 people on that list. And I've sort of been holding off. I mean, if the website is as bad as I have heard on a mobile device, then maybe we need to hold off on that one for the time being. But we could do something about homeowners and gardeners. So I would just need some input on, what links are we going to be using, and what next steps, I guess, for this. One thing I was thinking just today is that when we redo the website, it has to have a homeowner passageway and a gardener passageway, which are 2 different sets of information about a step-by-step. This is how you're going to learn what you need to know through the website. This is what the information you're interested in the website, if you're a homeowner or if you're a gardener.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We've got a lot of work to do.
I know, but I don't think the website should prevent us, because it's still functioning. People who do visit it or are familiar with the organization are already familiar with it. It shouldn't be a roadblock for us to reach out to to your audience, basically, for LSI, to say, hey, we're looking for gardeners right now. Work is ready to go. So, and we can just simply, we don't have to drive them to the website, but rather just explain what Good Cook and Gardener Project is, and the call to action being contact David Braden, set up an interview, period. And you do have a MailChimp newsletter template set up and designed for you that I set up last year. So you can simply duplicate or clone it technically. You could clone it and repurpose that. And would you like my help doing that?
Well, let me take a look at it.
Okay.
I will definitely want your input.
Sure thing.
You're on my account too, right? So you can just look at whatever I come up with.
Correct.
Okay, so is this another action item then for David to put together an email for the LSI newsletter?
Yes. Recruiting candidates. Gardener candidates.
And homeowners.
I was just about to say, so one thing, this is a complex project. I know we've been living it for a little while now, so it's a bit easier for us, but I think for the general public, maybe we're talking a little bit too much about both gardeners and homeowners, and we need to be, like you were just kind of saying with the website, we need to be hyper focused on our audience. When we talk about needing gardeners, we should speak to just gardeners.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we could be convoluting the message with, by the way, we also need homeowners. And also we would love funding too. Like we would like a lot of things, but maybe one thing at a time moving forward would be good because it's a lot to communicate.
All right, well, I'll keep that in mind too.
Yeah.
You think gardener, you think homeowners. I think, we could find that one gardener, like you say. And for a while there, I thought it was going to be Nick and Shannon, but they decided that they could have their own business doing something. It's not exactly similar, but they're going to do a CSA and sell their soil building stuff. And, so anyway, I wish them all the best.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, I think she's right. At least the bulk of the email should be just about one thing. And then if you are going to just mention, and if you're interested in homeowners, maybe they're just do one line and link to your website or something. But yeah, like making a huge several paragraphs and then just going straight into several paragraphs it's about something else and then straight into, you don't want it to be a mile long. So just focusing on one topic and then maybe just linking to more information on the other aspects of it, would help it to not be as overwhelming with information. Okay, cool. Okay, so are we done on the gardener outreach? Can we talk about the presentation now?
Can we get a quick recap of everything we talked about? That was a lot.
Sure. So you, Christine, you mentioned that you think that it would be good to have, at least one gardener who's really putting their all into this. And I totally agree with that. I think, kind of searching for somebody who's really into this would be a good thing. And then saying that we have the newsletter and that David's been emailing people through this email list just from his email account. And then you saying that it would be good to just email people individually or call them. And that we got applications in, was that November, December? Is that what you said?
November, yeah.
October? That you got some applications in. So, you want to try to contact them directly. And if they don't respond, then run more ads on Nextdoor, Facebook, and Craigslist. Step one would be to reach out to those candidates. Step two would be to set up a preliminary interview with Hank and David. Step three would be to connect them with Hank to do the apprenticeship. And then step four would be to enroll them with their own clients. And then we had 3 action items. The first is that Christine will contact the garden candidates this week. Christine will announce Cook and Gardener in a Be Safe Neighborhoods list, and David will put together an email for the LSI website and have you look over it.
Perfect.
Or, yeah, LSI newsletter, sorry. I meant to put newsletter there. Okay. Okay, great. So, David, did you have anything else you want to add before we move on?
No, I'm ready to move on.
Okay. So, yeah, this presentation on the 20th. Who has something about that?
So I'm going to get you the video that Lee Recca did for us. And, maybe I'm sure she wouldn't have any problem with us making other use of it. If it's really good, then we'll contact Lee about doing more videos for us.
Yeah, I'd like to see it too if you have it. That'd be awesome.
And then the presentation itself, it's about a 20-minute video of me building gardens and showing some of the gardens we've got and explaining why we don't want to do vegetable garden fence line to fence line. We also need to build habitat for the beneficial insects and the birds and the other creatures that are going to help us do the gardening. And then the goal is to have a lot of people asking a lot of questions. And I will be ending with a pitch for the Cook and the Gardener program.
So I would like to volunteer, unless you already have plans, David, for your Cook and Gardener project pitch at the end of your speech, to pull together a slide for you to put up on screen in Zoom, to share your screen and show that just as a visual cue for your pitch, but also a reminder. You know, some people just register that information visually instead of auditorily. And so with a clear call to action, email David Braden, now accepting applications for 2 homeowners.
What about printing that out and having it as a handout?
Is this in person or virtual?
It's a virtual meeting.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
So just like one PowerPoint slide even that I could just put together, make it look nice for you with the messaging that you want that says, you know, seeking a gardener. What do you think?
Sure, except for technologically, how do I actually go about that? And I will let the organizers know that we want to do that, and they should be able to take care of that for us.
It could be in a shareable file, maybe instead of as a slide, you could make it a PDF or something, and they could either just pull it up on the screen, or do that and also have a link to it available in the chat.
Yeah, that would be great. David, I can put together kind of an email instructing you on how, with the file, just a slide, and you can format it if you reformat it after I'm done if you'd like. And then just a few steps to sending it to the event moderators to say, please, I would love to show this slide towards the end. The cue will be Cook and Gardener project. I'd love to just put it on screen for people to see. And then also make it available in the chat, the link to the website and email address. So I can kind of drop that up for you. I think that could be helpful. You know, it's better than just relying on people to hear you, and remember that, you know.
Sure.
Okay.
I like that idea. Thank you.
Sure. And, you know, they're going to be sharing your video anyway, so it sounds like someone will be handling that for you. So nothing for you really to do. I can just provide you with that slide to share with the moderator, and they'll take care of the screen share.
I mean, if you send it to them fast enough, maybe they can even add it to the end of the video.
Yeah. I don't know if that would mess with your cadence, David. It sounded like you wanted to save it for the end, but.
Yeah, well, I guess either way, I mean, if we're going to wait till the end and say, how are we going to get all of our friends and neighbors to adopt this gardening technique? Mm-hmm. The way that we're proposing is through the Cook and the Gardener program, and this is the basics.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not like in the video, but if they're going to be posting this video somewhere else, like on YouTube, then they could put a link to that in the description or something.
Yeah. Okay. I took that as an action item for myself. A 4th one, designing a slide for you, but I can do that very quickly.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'd like to make a suggestion and just get your guys' feedback regarding recruiting gardeners. Mm-hmm. David, do you think it's more, well, okay, I'll start with my suggestion. I would think in these early stages, you have 2 homeowners looking for gardeners, connecting both of them with one gardener seems like efficient to me. For you, for the gardener, to get them excited about not just one paying client, but 2, to get the ball rolling, instead of finding 2 separate gardeners to take on 2 separate homeowners. What do you guys think?
Well, the only problem is the distance apart between them.
Yeah.
Here in Applewood and one's in Aurora.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, but that's going to be an ongoing problem until we have gardeners in every section of the city. Of the metropolitan area. But we can certainly make that proposal that I'd have, you know, if somebody is willing to take on these 2, then, you know, I don't have any problem with that. It's just they've got to figure their drive time.
Right.
Has Hank already said he definitely can't do these?
Like I say, I haven't heard from Hank.
Okay.
since these two things came up.
Well, I just wonder if Hank could just temporarily take them on and just have these people join him as apprentices, at least for the first month or two.
That's a more ideal approach for sure.
Except for he's only got Fridays and Saturdays off. So,
Sure.
Really our lead gardener should be somebody who's made the commitment. And then we could be looking at something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, see what happens, but it just might take a temporary overextension to get things going,
Stacy Compost lives in Morrison, and she's already has one client in Golden, so I was hoping that she would want to step up and take this one here in Applewood, but I haven't heard from her either, so she works at some laboratory on the graveyard shift. I understand it.
Yeah. I don't know. Again, like bugging people like her a little bit more just to make sure she got the message, because it's possible she just missed the email. You know what I mean? So I'd check with people a little more directly if you can.
Getting phone numbers and sending texts.
Yeah, it's exhausting. I can tell that you don't want to do it. It's probably not your favorite thing to do. And that's why I'm happy to jump in and maybe relieve you of that for this next round of recruitment. So one in Applewood and one in Aurora. I would say that at this stage in the project, my intuition again just tells me that it would be ideal if we can find one person for you, David and Hank, to build a relationship with to take on these next two clients. But over time, that can evolve to other gardeners as clientele grows, the portfolio grows, if you will. It can be you can shuffle things around to work better with people's locations. It would be awesome if, I agree with Jackie, that would be the most efficient and ideal is if Hank could take those two on, but he's got a lot going on right now. So anyway, I'm not saying that it should be a requirement for people to be going completely across the county, but maybe to start off though, that would be a good spot for someone who's really itching for that job.
And they can put those hours together and just do it in one day, instead of going out there 4 times. They could just get a couple of apprentices to go with them and just do a 4-hour stint. Just get it over with.
Yes, that's true. And I've tried to explain that too. It's not necessarily an hour a week. It could be 4 hours a month in one trip.
Yeah, that's not that unreasonable.
4 hours worth of work to do. You have to have a garden to build if you're going to be doing it that way.
Right. True. Yeah, so that might require at least 2 trips, one to go out and kind of survey the situation and make plans and collect materials or prepare, asking the homeowner to collect the materials for you or whatnot, and then a second time to go out and actually build the beds. Okay, cool. Well, we are at the end of time. Thank you so much. So let's go ahead and do a quick check out. How did this go? How are you feeling about it? Moving forward and whatnot. So let's start with Christine again. How are you doing?
Yeah, no, I feel good. I feel motivated. This is something I can definitely help with, with the reach out. So I'm motivated to do that in the next couple of days and gets David someone to work with.
Awesome. David?
Yeah, so hopefully some of my frustration is hidden a little bit, but that's what I would really like is a plan that I had confidence in moving forward. And I think we're making steps in that direction.
Yeah, me too. I'm actually feeling more excited after this conversation than I have so far. It feels like we're coming up with a plan and hearing that you did have some people filling out applications who are interested, and maybe it's just a matter of calling them up and bugging them more directly. I think it's doable. And I'm also I'm totally willing to help too. I mean, if you guys need help with copywriting or making flyers and stuff like that, I mean, I'm like, oh yeah, I like doing that. So yeah, let me know if you want help with that as well.
The fundraiser page, Jackie, is awesome. I mean, that is a very generous effort for you to take on, I think, in and of itself. I just had it up on my screen. So thank you for doing that.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thanks. Yeah. So that's my action item, and I might as well just add that on here, is to finish that, to create the fundraising campaign. I just need to download that widget on my Ignition deck on my WordPress and set that up. So yeah, I'll try to get that done by the next time. I should be able to get that done by the next time we meet.
You said that's a cost to you though?
I think it's just, I'll have to look at it again. It's most WordPress plugins aren't very expensive, especially if I just get the basic package, and I think that's all that I would need. So, and I'm looking at using this, not just for this project, but for all of my clients and my own fundraisers too. So.
Well,
yeah.
and depending on how expensive it is, if you want to send a bill to LSI, the Cook and Garden can pay that kind of expense for you. Well,
and with this, I can actually set it up to take a percentage, just like Indiegogo does. So I would be the administrator on that. So I could set it up to figure out a way to reimburse myself. But, I mean, I'm kind of doing this for myself if a chunk of the money is going to go to me to pay for my own services. So I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, I'll let y'all know what it turns out to be. So, okay, and awesome. And thank you everybody who is watching this probably after the fact, because I haven't seen anybody in the chat room, but we kind of scheduled this, got this on the calendar late. But we are going to be doing this again. If you check regenerativerevolution.org, I've got the schedule up there, and we'll try to get it scheduled a little bit more in advance. I'll try to get it a week in advance so that there's enough time for y'all to join us next time. But also just absolutely feel free to message me through my website or join my Patreon or message them directly. I've got links on here to their websites, and their contact info is on there. So, please feel free to contact us any way and get involved in this. And we'll see you next time.